This is supposed to be an interactive session, so if you have questions that come up throughout, please just throw them into the chat function. You can use the Q&A box if you want, but the chat function works pretty well for me, and we'll jump to them as we go through this. Cool. So this work, as Carrie Pardo at the Mott Foundation and Kristen said yesterday, is really inspired by the work in Flint. So not meant to be the only way that you can go about doing this work, but you can see that there's been a lot of success in Flint and other places across the country. And so the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation has put $100,000. This is going to be for 4 communities to have $25,000 grants. And match requirement is 1-to-1. So another $25,000 that could come from one or multiple funders to make up that funding. To implement or expand upon a shared community-defined goal to extend the ability of national service to meet community needs. We have purposely made this very, very flexible money. We've opened up the securing the grant award from June 1st of this year of 2021 through April 1st of next year, so that you could get a conditional award and still have time to be able to secure that funding. And we're looking at our current impact communities, that have already built this out, and ones that want to try and do this work and want to build it out as well. So the application criteria is going to have more information, and I'm going to pass it over to Kelsey to go into a little bit more details about what's in the application. Did I lose Kelsey?
Is Kelsey back with us?
It might not be letting her in, Kristen, because it's limited. Maybe try popping off and see if she can pop back in.
Okay.
Sorry about that. So hopefully this gives everybody a chance to open up the application as well. Kelsey, can you go ahead and try and join, and let's see if it pops you back in. Gotta love technology. There she is. Kelsey, you're here.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you okay. Brent was saying that you never sleep, and I said that's true, that you are incredibly effective. So I just went through that first. Oh, lost her again. All right.
Any luck?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you not hear me?
I can hear you. It's still giving me this. Sorry, it's still giving me the share audio and video button. But if you all can hear me, then
we can hear and see you, so you're good. I've got the slide up with the application on it. All right. Well, she's moving through things. I might just pull up the application so you guys can take a look at it quickly, and then we'll hopefully sort through our technical issues here. So running through the application criteria, you'll see it's pretty straightforward here. We're looking for a new financial commitment received between June 1st, 2021 and next April 1st, 2022, with a clear intent to establish or work with an existing collaborative national service programs and relevant stakeholders. So this could be work that you're already doing, that you're already partnering. We saw this morning that about 70% of people who joined us today are already working in some way with other programs and stakeholders. So building on that work, or it could be starting something fresh. We want to see a plan for how the grant will make the applicant's place-based work more sustainable. So we don't want this to be something that you do for a year and then that work ends, but really, how are you using this? Think about it as like Vista, right? That you're building capacity to be able to do this work long-term. So that could be that part of someone's role is to do some fundraising and to build additional support over time. A plan to advance the Universal National Service goals. So Kristen walked through these goals. We're going to walk through them again in a minute with some examples, but we think this is, every community's kind of prerogative of how they want to focus on these goals. We've put together a lot of ideas of what we've seen in impact communities across the country, and it can be pursuing any of those 5 goals, and there's lots of strategies that could fall within that. And then a willingness to commit to data collection and information sharing, to work with us at Service Share Alliance. We are a learning organization. We love working with communities and being able to share out what we're learning in one community and applying it and sharing it with other communities. And so just being willing to be partners in doing that. So the application, you can see when you download it, is pretty straightforward. We're looking for a cover page with a few points of contact information there. So a contact name, a contact email, what organization you're applying on behalf of, the geographic area of the initiative. So somebody asked yesterday what we mean by community. It is very broad, that term. So it could be as small as a neighborhood. It could be up to a state level. It could be multiple counties. It could be one city. You really get to define what that geography looks like based on what your interests are. And then if you have a name of your group, you've heard some of the other ones that are out there, like the Flint National Service Accelerator or AmeriCorps Central Texas, and that's if applicable. So if you don't have one, that's totally fine. So the proposal should be short, 1 to 2 pages max. We don't want this to take too much time. Just be thoughtful in your responses, explaining how you or your community would use the challenge grant and how would it advance that UNS principle in your community. We'll also ask for a project budget and then the proposed match funder information, which you'll see there as well. So it's pretty straightforward. The question asks for the first that 2-pager. Which principle are you looking to advance? So of those 5 principles that I'll walk through in a second, and then what specific activities will that look like in your community? What are the desired outcomes that you want to see? And then if this is part of something that's existing, or how are you planning to build collaboration within the community that you're looking to serve? For the project budget, we want to look for projected expenses for that $25,000 challenge grant, and then how you would use the matching funds as well, and then just the total cost of the project. So you might be bringing in more funding, which would be fabulous, than that $50,000. So just how you're proposing to use all of that funding. And then with the match requirement, this could be from an existing funder that you already work with, but that you're really looking at doing something new or in a different way. And then we want the funding to be sustainable. So we know there's a lot of federal funding flowing right now that seems like it will be short-lived. That's probably not the source of funding that we're looking for, but something that you could really build from over time, or make the argument that you could build from over time. We know that funders aren't going to commit to giving you a multi-year award. That's not what we're looking for, but just really that you're building for sustainability. Hello, Kelsey.
Hi, I think I'm finally in a functional position.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to say here about the application, or do you want to move into the UNS principles?
I apologize. I could not hear everything that you were saying, but I think one of the most important things is we're really not looking for a giant proposal. We want to make sure that you guys are clear in your vision, but we don't want to overburden you. We know that you all have a lot of stuff on your plate all the time, so we definitely we don't want to overburden you. So 1 to 2 pages is really what we're looking for. That offers a clear vision, but nothing. We don't want a 10-page application. We don't want to put you through that.
All right, I'm going to jump to the next slide there. Do you want to take it from here on the UNS overview?
Sure. So as we've kind of talked about throughout the main stage events today, as well as hopefully through some of the sessions it was brought up again, I tried to bring it up a little bit in the alumni session. We really are looking for applicants to think about how they are thinking about their work through the UNS principles, and how they're trying to create the conditions for universal national service through their work on the ground. And we will be in the next couple of weeks releasing some more tools and opportunities for you to think through how this can play out on the ground. So we're really excited about that. But in the meantime, we wanted to give you a preview to try to give you a sense of what we're thinking about, both on the bigger level, but then also some actionable and achievable things that you can work towards on the community level as well. So if we can move on to the next slide.
Sure thing, 1 second.
And I know that we are near the end of time, so I will try to push through these pretty quickly, and I will not read everything on the slide to all of you. But so the first principle, existing at scale, is really we at Service Year Alliance are working towards a vision of seeing 1 million people serving every year. That's our main goal. And there's a lot of good reasons why we want to see this. We think it's really what would truly strengthen communities and transform the lives of corps members, as well as really transform the civic landscape of the nation, and just make us a better country. But we want to see that at scale and see it become a real cultural expectation, as well as an opportunity for every young person. So there are a couple examples here of projects one could take on to try to meet the principle of existing at scale. Mapping organizations that could expand or take on corps members is a really good one. We've seen a couple of impact communities already partner with higher ed institutions to work with students there doing their capstone work, trying to map out some of the nonprofits in their area. So that's a really exciting example, but there are a couple of others, like establishing an intermediary is also a really interesting concept that we've seen work out really successfully in some communities. Can we move on to the next slide? Yeah, so meeting unmet needs. I know this is one that everyone really, the program intervention is really critical to everyone's work, and is something that certainly AmeriCorps really focuses on, and rightfully so. We want to make sure that all of our programs and the work of our corps members are really and truly meeting the needs of communities. And especially the most challenging, the most pressing challenges in communities. So a couple of examples might be engaging with community stakeholders and really building out a community plan that ensures that the beneficiaries of service are really reaping the benefits of service and that the service is happening in a way that they feel really good about, and is equitable and gives them dignity as well. So thinking about creating a community plan like that could be a really valuable way to advance this principle. Next slide. So fueling civic renewal. This is an area I have a soft spot in my heart for this particular UNS principle. I think it's hard for a lot of programs to think about it, fueling civic renewal and being intentional about how we can use national service to bridge divides in the country, because a lot of the work is done. A lot of corps members learn this implicitly through their service, and we found that through one of our most recent reports on service years and bridging, which is really exciting. But there are a lot of other intentional things that programs and communities can do to leverage, to make the most of this principle and really make the national service a tool in communities to really transform the civic landscape and bridge divides in communities. So one example is creating a really intentional cohort experiences across programs. A lot of our impact communities already do this. They do a lot of service days with corps members across programs that really bring those corps members together, so that they're not just thinking about how they identify with their program, but think about how they're identifying with national service or their community as a whole, or AmeriCorps as a whole. Another example is working with alumni. I know I just got done facilitating some really great alumni sessions, but working with alumni is another great way to make sure that you're really building that the civic muscle that you build during your service year can really continue to build and grow and tone throughout the life cycle of an individual in a community. So next slide, opportunity for all. This is one that I know a lot of you are really working on. That poll really showed us during the main stage event that this is a really key issue for a lot of individuals and a lot of programs. So thinking about how to break down barriers and introduce wraparound service that make national service positions really an opportunity for everybody. and especially those from traditionally underserved communities who might not either be aware of national service opportunities or might not be able to access it because of a variety of barriers they experience in their own lives. So one example of how you could work towards this is building an awareness campaign in traditionally underserved communities, which could involve talking to proximate leaders in those communities and engaging schools and guidance counselors and things like that in those communities to really get to the young people that young people in those communities trust, and make sure they're aware of these opportunities and the potential. And then next slide. So the final one is offering pathways. I know this is another really important one to a lot of people who are joining this event from the poll. So this is really thinking about the long-term success of core members by making sure they're being offered personal and professional development opportunities. So one really interesting way that you could undertake some of this work is partnering with local workforce development organizations to align some of the training and programs with in-demand career fields in that area. And I think this is a place where place-based work can really excel because a lot of the workforces are local and the needs for the workforce are local. So one community might be really embedded in the tech sector and might find tech training really valuable for core members to set up them with the skills they need to go into the tech sector. Another might have a really powerful health sector. So there might be some really interesting trainings you could try to work through and offer your core members so that they're ready for a career in the health field. So I think really figuring out what those sectors are in your community can be really important and really valuable for your programs. And then I think we have one more slide. So as we said, the application is due October 5th. You can send it to partnerships@serviceyear.org. We are also going to be holding office hours on August 25th and September 14th. If you have any questions, you can talk to us there about any part of the application, thinking through how you're engaging funders, any of those things. We will be there for that full hour. We'll bring many of our team members onto those calls so that we make sure we have someone there who can really address your questions. So we are really excited to see the applications and the really creative and exciting things you all can make happen on the local level. And we're really excited to be able to work with the Mott Foundation to offer this opportunity and make some of these innovative and exciting ideas come to life.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelsey. So we're just going to open it up if there are any questions. Kelsey and I will stay here for a few more minutes for other questions that people have. We had two questions that came in. One on, will the funds be available upon grant award, or will they be a cost reimbursement grant? They're not cost reimbursement grants, so it's a one-time award. The payment will be upfront if the match is secured, or it'll be conditional if the match isn't secured yet, and we paid out once the match is secured. So you'll remember that you have until April 1st, 2022 to secure that match. And then another question that came in, when you say new funding, does it have to be a donor who has not previously made a gift to our efforts, or could it be a new grant from an existing funder? So it can be an existing funder. It doesn't need to be a new funder coming in, but it should be a new gift. Other questions that folks have? We'll just stay here for a couple minutes. So, and then folks feel free to jump into, I guess networking is finishing up now, but we're excited to have the day tomorrow. We will have time during action planning tomorrow that our staff is going to be rotating through. So if you have 2 or more people here from your community tomorrow from 3 to 4, we'll have an hour set aside where you can think through, what are the strategies that you heard that you think are the biggest challenges in your community that you might want to take on together and pursue through these challenge grants. Thanks, Natalie. Thanks for being a panelist too.
And I hope these examples really of how the UNS principles work in communities are helpful. We're spending a lot of time lately thinking about how we make those principles come to life on the community level. So we're really excited about this.
And we'll make sure that these slides, I know on the Resource Expo, we have the link to the Challenge Grants page. We'll make sure that these slides also get up, and we'll post the recording as well. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. We'll see you tomorrow.